Everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining us here tonight. My name is Dr. Andrew Roop, and I'm really excited to be sharing with everyone tonight. So as we're waiting for people to get on live and to join us here, let's talk a little bit about our topic here. Why are we talking about allergies? Let me get this paused here. All right, there we go. We got one of me is enough, I'm sure, for at least that's what my wife tells me. So about allergies. Why is this something worth talking about? Because for most people, it's part of their life. It's an extremely common issue that people are dealing with. So there's this kind of mentality of, well, it just is what it is. You know, what are you going to do? These are allergies. You just kind of live with it. You deal with it for the season. Maybe for you, that's a couple weeks, a couple months. Maybe it's once a year, twice a year. Maybe it's pretty much the seasons that blended together, and it seems like your life is one constant battle against Kleenexes and inhalers and everything that entails. And so the reality is that, yes, those are extremely common challenges, but an important distinction we really need to make is what's common and what's really normal. Because the reality is they should not be common challenges. We should not have so many people suffering from them throughout the year, during fall, spring, everything like that. And I know this, you might not think that spring is actually coming, at least here in Western Pennsylvania as we're recording this, because we've had, random bits of snow here in early April. But the reality is it will turn the corner eventually, fingers crossed, and we're going to deal with those early springtime challenges. So that's why we want to talk about this, because this is not something that we should be struggling with, that we should be dealing with. The fact that so many people are is a sign that there's some issues going on. And we want to talk about why that's taking place, but not just leave you at that, because, listen, I love learning and I would gladly share and teach all night. The phrase knowledge is power comes to mind, right? You think, great, perfect, let's get some knowledge. It's not just knowledge is power. You need to apply that knowledge and actually put it to action. So that's what we want to make sure we leave with tonight. Both knowledge and information about why this is taking place, but also what you can do about it, both professionally and how what we do plays into that, as well as what's some DIY take-home tips that you can put into action from your home this rest of the season. So that's the goal, that's the outline, because we understand that inhalers, for these allergies, asthma, respiratory issues, nasal sprays, carrying around a box of Kleenexes, that's not a fun life. Like I lived that. I grew up struggling with allergies, asthma, viral induced asthma, they called it, which anyways, I grew up that, and I knew how it affected me being able to play sports. Times where, your kid maybe can't go outside and just run wild, at least during a certain time of the year. They can't play with other kids. A lot of times, this kind of hidden bear behind everything is these are affecting our sleep, right? We're congested and we can't breathe, then we can't sleep and we get that rest. And wow, we open that can of worms. You're not sleeping well, that's going to affect your quality of life as a whole. So we're going to talk a little bit about all of that, why this is so important. But the reality is, we got to deal with this, right? Because our alternatives, these nasal sprays, steroids, antibiotics for the infections, those aren't without consequences. Those aren't without serious long-term side effects. So if possible, we'd rather not go that route. At least that's most of the parents, most of the families that we've talked to. It's another thing we should note here that a lot of this stuff, a lot of the information we share is, last month we talked about colic and gassy constipation issues. Before that, we were talking about ear infections, a lot of pediatric-oriented conditions. And this is absolutely a pediatric-oriented one as well, but not just kids, right? Us parents, moms and dads that we see in the practice every day, adults that don't have kids, right? You don't have to have kids to have allergies. This is something that is extremely common across the population. So this is one that we want to make sure that we're reaching out to both parents in our office as well as adults and individuals that possibly could be helped by that. So one little housekeeping note here as I double check I know you all heard me in the background earlier. So we have both our live format here through Zoom webinars, as well as a Facebook Live video going on. Both of those allow for interaction, allow for comments, questions. So whether you're live with us right now, put up a Q&A on there, ask a question on the Facebook Live. Maybe you're watching it later on Facebook, throw a question there still, we'll try to follow up. Maybe you're watching on YouTube down the road. Reach out to us. If you have a question about your specific situation, we'll do our best to answer that, to point you in the right direction, and try to get you the resources and the answers and the help you need. So that's how our format tonight works. And I'd really encourage you, if you're tuning in live here, throw some questions, some comments out there, whether that's, oh my gosh, that's totally me, like that's what we struggle with all the time, or maybe you have a question about some of the take-home tips that we come around to later in the presentation. Make sure you mention those, because the way that this is the most beneficial for you is if I know what your situation is and if I know what's going on, so we can cater information specifically to you to make that happen. So as we're getting rolling here, the first thing I really want to talk about and think through with everyone is this concept of why this is taking place, right? If we think about it, default mode for us is to be healthy, right? Out of the box, so to speak, we're made to grow, to develop, to thrive. That's where our name comes from, right? That's our goal for everyone, is to really be living that 100% maximal health. So that's what we know should be happening. For example, we know that you cut your finger, you get a paper cut or whatever, or maybe you put a Band-Aid on it, maybe mom gives little kiddo a kiss on the finger to make it better. Yes, we all know that really it's mom's kisses that make things better, but it's not really the kiss, it's not really the Band-Aid. What is it? It's your body's ability to heal. You have that same cut or same gash on a dead body, it doesn't heal, right? The fact that we have life, that we are alive, is our healing energy, right? That's our ability to heal, our ability to process things, to grow and to develop as we should, is just what we're born with. That's what we get as our default package, as I like to say, right? So that's one of the conversations we're frequently having in the office is, if our default mode is to heal and to be well, to have a balanced immune system, if that's not taking place, something went wrong, right? There's some sort of disconnect. Sure, there's the 1 in a million possible genetic issues, right? We have a few specific chromosomal abnormalities or genetic pair abnormalities that you're kind of luck of the draw, got a bad set of cards, bad set of genetics. Reality is that is a very, 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 very small piece of what's going on with most people. The majority, it's what is our environmental situation, what are the lifestyle choices that we're making, which is great news, because that means that you have some power, you have some control, and the choices that you make will make a difference in your health. So with this understanding of, all right, we are born to be well, we're born to heal, born to be balanced, what's taking place that's leading to that not happening? Our topic tonight with allergies, with asthma wrapped into that, this immune system concept, to explain what's taking place and when that's not taking, or when that's not happening, when we're not healing well, we need to touch a little bit on the immune system. Specifically, we're going to explain a little bit about two different parts of the immune system. There's a Th1 and a Th2. All right, so don't worry about the terminology. Don't worry about T helper cells and cell-mediated versus humoral mediated immunity. I'm sure there will be some medical healthcare background professionals, nurses watching, and that's bringing back bad memories of your professional training and board tests and exams and everything like that. Don't get hung up on the terminology. Let's think about the concepts here. That Th1 response, that is our quick to the scene, kind of the first line of defense, right? That's what we think of when we think of germs or invaders getting into the system. We have a bacteria, we have a virus, makes their way into our body through nasal passages, digestion, anything like that. That is the line of defense that jumps straight to it, and they want to really go hard right out the gate, right? They come packing a punch, and then they want to get the job done and then shut off, right? So it's a very bam, bam. They want to really take care of that job. So I think of like some of those movies where it's like just the dream team, or I think one of them is called the A-Team, where it's like the Navy SEALs of X amount of years training, right? They just come in, get the job, and get out of there. That is our Th1 system. It's awesome because when we're living in that mode, when we have that firing on all cylinders, sure, we encounter germs, we encounter pathogens, but it knocks them out, right? It keeps us healthy. If we do get sick, have to fight off those symptoms a little bit, man, we're getting back out of it 3-5 times as fast as anyone else that's around us. Then we have this other side. This is our Th2, or our T helper cells of the second type. That is more of the long-term game, right? Those are, if you've heard of the term antibodies, that's what's producing our antibodies. Those are what's concerned with, okay, have we seen this germ, this invader, this pathogen before? And if we have, we're going to be able to respond better to it, right? So they're the ones that are making antibodies, so our immune system is primed to attack. and better set up. It's great because that's the thing that creates long-term immunity. When we're naturally exposed to a germ, to a bug, to an infection, that system is able to recognize that, able to create the antibodies, and then be good from there on out, right? That's why we only get chickenpox once. Your mom takes you to the chickenpox party, you get your dose of that, you deal with it, you fight it off, you're itchy for a couple of days, then you're set. Your body's stronger for it, you're better off because you had that test, right? That battle test. So that's that Th1 versus Th2. The Th1 emphasis, the Th1 dominant side, you get sick less often because that is a boosted, strong, ready to fight battleground. The other side, that Th2, when you're too far shifted towards that long-term, let's identify any pathogens and mark them for future issues, when you're in that mode, you end up kind of hypersensitive or too reactive to things. And your body, instead of just sitting around there, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for bad guys to show up, gets bored. It starts saying, hey, I want to make my own bad guys. And you start picking out normal environmental exposures. Maybe that's the pollen, maybe that's dust, maybe that's cat or dog dangerous, whatever it is. You start developing these allergies or these immune responses to something that's not something we should be responding to, right? It's a false alarm to a normal environmental exposure. So like we said, the common ones, there's anything from hay fever to grasses to pollens. There's a million different things that could be taking place with. But the reality is our immune system is hyperactive in that Th2 dominant response. Hopefully that's making sense. Just checking for comments, questions anywhere here. I don't want to miss anyone up there. Some of that we might get to later as well. So what we need to understand then is, where are we? Why are we there? And how can we make a change, right? Another picture I'm going to paint here that will really seem very similar to this Th1, Th2 is a gas pedal versus brake pedal balance. So let's think about our nervous system and our body from a different perspective. Talked about our immune system, Th1, Th2. Now let's talk about our nervous system, gas pedal versus brake pedal. At gas pedal mode, that's your stressed out fight or flight, go, go, go response, right? That is when we need to kick it into high gear, run away from the tiger, metaphorically speaking. And I'm going to throw up a slide as we're going through this to give you a little visual here. So that gas pedal is our go, go, go stress response, right? That is what is allowing us to run away from the tiger. That's survival mode. That's what we go to when we're stressed out. Our brake pedal is our calming, relaxation, immune system, digestion, growth and development mode. We want to be spending most of our time in that brake pedal because that's when that's when we're healthy and we're growing and developing as we're supposed to. The brake or the gas pedal is fine for kicking into high gear and fighting off those times of stress or the work deadlines or the financial stress or whatever it is. We need that adrenaline response, gas pedal mode, but we want to spend most of our time in this brake pedal mode. As you can imagine, you might be thinking of, there's some overlap here, right? This brake pedal, that sounds a lot like that healthy, good, strong immune system, Th1 response. Gas pedal, that is our go, 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 fight or flight, stress, survival mode. That is also where our long-term immune system gets put into play. It really makes sense if we just think through biologically, right? If the caveman is running away from a tiger in this survival mode, you don't really need to worry about fighting off that infection or, oh, am I going to get a cold right now? It doesn't matter because you need to survive this next 10 seconds or else you're done. So when you're in that gas pedal mode, your immune system gets shut off as far as that day-to-day staying healthy. But because that gets turned off, the behind the scenes building up the ground forces and looking for something to attack side, that Th2, that comes and becomes overbearing there. Bounce back. So when we end up, those things kind of have a interchange, right? Our Th1 dominant side comes from a healthy nervous system balance. That Th2, really ready to attack anything, overreactive, allergies, autoimmune diseases, asthma mode. that comes from a stressed out, sympathetic fight or flight gas pedal. We're going to connect the dots a little bit more here in a couple minutes as far as, okay, what does that gas pedal, brake pedal, Th1, Th2 have to do with what we do as far as chiropractic? But those are kind of the frameworks or the backgrounds to understand as far as what's taking place with these allergies. So to answer that question, it's too much Th2, right? It's too much of that stress response, that gas pedal mode, that's leading to an overreactivity of our immune system. Instead of hanging in the background, ready to jump if anything comes, they're too much, they're at the front of the line, ready to grab any invader that comes in our body and label it as, enemy number one, and let's set up an immune system for it. And I know we're kind of speaking silly analogies and A-team and all sorts of stuff like that. We could go way more in depth in the science here. We could talk for hours, and we could pull out textbooks on immunology and neuroimmunology and really dig into that Th1, Th2 from a much more scientific perspective. What I think is most helpful for the general perspective is just understanding this big picture, how things work, right? So if you do want to take another layer deeper, trust me, I'm a self-professed science nerd and love going deep into that science. So I'd be happy to go that route in another setting, another context. So what we need to do then, if we're just thinking as far as how to affect that, right? That's the problem. We can see we have this issue, this problem of too much Th2 balance there instead of an equal, immune system's ready to jump, but not overreactive. Let's start thinking about, okay, what can we do to get it in a more balanced, calm state? How can we prime that Th1 response? And I'm going to pull up a slide again to give you a visual on that as we talk through some stuff. There we go. So what can we do to boost and support that Th1 response so we can have more of a healthy balance in our immune system? Is we just need to give it a chance, give it a shot, right? So we can take this all the way back to little kid, babies, our first exposures, right? Living in a bubble is not helpful because that doesn't give that Th1 fighting team a chance to really flex their muscles and get a good workout in and get stronger, and we end up with a too much imbalance towards that autoimmunity side and that allergy side. So one thing is, don't let your kids live in a bubble, right? Just like if you want to train or work out for anything, you got to do it consistently. If your immune system wants to be healthy, you need to let that train. No, I don't think we should be not intentionally inoculating our kids with pathogens and, taking test tubes and dumping them all over their play toys. But we need to let them play in the mud. We need to let them play in the dirt. We need to let them crawl around the floor and do all that sort of thing, because those germs are not bad. Right? Those germs are allowing their immune system to build and develop. If we think about it, this whole concept of germs being the ones that cause disease doesn't really answer all of our questions, right? If it were just the matter of, oh, you're exposed to the germ, you're exposed to the bacteria, you get the disease, we would all have the same stuff, right? We're all exposed to the same pathogens. We're in the same quarters, the same closed areas. Everyone's breathing it, sneezing it, coughing it out. It's not so much what we're exposed to, it's how your body responds as to what keeps you healthy or not. So you can be exposed to a lot, but if you have a healthy, active immune system, it's going to keep you healthy and active yourself. It's going to be fighting all that off and keeping you in a healthy, balanced state. So we don't want to avoid those germs, because those germs are what lets our system build up some strength and ready to fight things off. Other things that's going to support that Th1 healthy balance is breastfeeding, right? If we're starting in the beginning here, breastfeeding is really going to help seed the immune system in so many helpful ways. One of them is it's going to help provide the right bacteria content, something called the microbiome. That's both the bacteria on our skin, bacteria in our GI system. That's why vaginal deliveries are so beneficial and so important, one of the many reasons, because that is the baby's first exposure to their microbiome. That's their seeding of that beneficial flora and bacteria. So we want to breastfeed to give our babies the best chance at a healthy, balanced immune system. And then as far as supplementation goes going forward, we want to make sure that we're having probiotics, having some sort of healthy fermented bacteria in there. Not a whole lot of us are drinking a ton of kombucha and raw milk and eating sauerkraut and fermented vegetables, anything like that. So most of us need to supplement those probiotics to make sure that we are having enough support for our digestive system interiorly. Same with the fish oil. Those fish oils are going to support that healthy immune response, that pack a punch, knock out the invader, and then retreat, go back on hold, instead of that overbearing antibody-focused response. So we want to continue focusing on those, and then everything that we know, right? Everything that we know is going to keep us healthy. Like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's a pretty common phrase because it's pretty intuitive. We eat fruits, we eat vegetables, especially organic kinds. We're going to be supporting our body's health and immune system in the best way we can. So those are all things we want to focus on and do. But let's look at the flip side then. What do we want to avoid to make sure we're not promoting that Th2 response? Pretty clear-cut one there is what's first on the list, right? Those antibiotics. Antibiotics are going to wipe out our intestinal flora, our GI system bacteria balance, and so that's going to lead to a big shift towards that Th2 or that Th2 sympathetic fight or flight response. When they do happen, when the emergency takes place and we need to take them, it is what it is. But let's make sure we build that system back up through probiotics, through the proper nutrition, and everything like that. Sugar is another big one. We could throw dairy in there as well. Basically, anything that's going to be taxing our body, our GI system, our immune system more is going to push us towards that Th2 response. So candies, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, processed dairy products, all those things are going to be creating more of an immune response and creating that congestion, that drainage, and everything that we don't want to be dealing with there. And that's what that last bullet point is: the toxins, pesticides, fumes. That's why I mentioned organic fruits and vegetables earlier, because some of the more traditional ones, depending on the type, depending on what sort of skin it is, you might be exposing yourself to a lot of harmful chemicals as you're eating them. So we want to be creating a nutritious, healthy environment for our GI system. The other point here, that sympathetic nervous system, that in layman's terms is your gas pedal, right? That gas pedal is going to be pushing your body towards that imbalance where you're going to be shifting towards a Th2 immunity, right? You're going to be dealing with the autoimmune challenges. You're going to be dealing with allergies. You're going to be dealing with asthma, those other respiratory challenges, because your body is not in a healthy, balanced immune system state. So what do we need to do with this information, right? How can we apply it best? A lot of that, the information's right there for you. You just need to take action on it. I will put the caveat there on, probiotics, fish oil, some of those sort of supplement things. Quality matters, right? Just like anything. You can have ones that are helpful, beneficial, doing what they're supposed to. Other ones, not so much, right? It's not actually a high quality supplement, or it is full of artificial colors and flavors and fillers and other stuff that isn't actually helping us. Unfortunately, pretty much anything we can get off of a retail shop or anything like that is going to fall into that category as far as not the natural forms of the vitamins, possible toxins in the supplements, stuff like that. So we don't carry a lot of supplements in the office, but we try to make sure we have at least one of those basic ones, like a probiotic or a fish oil, to make sure that someone has a trusted brand for that. There's more good ones than what we have here, but we want to make sure our patients have at least one option. So if you're not sure if yours fits in that category, send us a message. We'll try to get you on the right track there. So yes, you need to put that into play. You need to take care of those things, but reality is some, and maybe a lot of you, are doing all those things right. You're making sure you have the proper balance in your immune system. You're making sure that you're eating the right nutrition. You're taking care of yourself in that perspective, but you're still dealing with that. Right? The reality is you could have that gas pedal sympathetic stress taking place behind the scenes is preventing you from really getting out of that Th2 fight or flight mode, that allergies mode, because your body is shifted towards that. So let me show you what I mean here as an example. This on the screen is one of the scans we use in our office. What we do is we measure that stress. We measure that gas pedal versus brake pedal so we can find out how your body is functioning and if you need to. This is one of the scans that we do. We have a couple others. One of them will just give a big picture, 30,000 foot view of your health. Are you more in that balanced, healthy brake pedal state? Or are you in that gas? This one specifically here, this patient was someone who'd been dealing with allergies and asthma for decades and decades and decades. So it was a chronic issue for them. And as we were going over the scans, I said, hey, this is a classic response, right? This is the most common trend that we could see for someone dealing with those issues. Give you a little context here. Little white bars would be a normal reading. Green is mild, blue is moderate, red is severe. And the stresses we find, those green bars in C2, C3 there, that is our classic sleep challenges. This person also had been dealing with, poor sleep for a while as well. So sleep challenges. And then our immune system, allergies, congestion, drainage, sinuses are all as that C2, C3 primary. Next one, C7, T1, T2, the cluster there. That is our classic area of our nervous system that's controlling a lot of the respiratory lungs functions. If we flip back here, this chart on the right there on the screen, that's our fuse box, we call it. If we could zoom in there real close, or you come in the office, we'll show you close and personal. That area of your nervous system, that upper thoracic spine, that's what's controlling a lot. So in this area that showed some significant stresses and imbalances there, not surprising. I would be surprised if this person didn't have asthma for the last handful of decades, right? So this is what we do to help you have better balance, have better function in that immune system, is do a scan, see what stresses are there, talk to you about what else is in place in your life. Are you doing these other things? What was your early challenges like? Wow, you had these things. Later, and then we can use that information to figure out how we can best help get you to a place where you're not carrying around the inhaler, you're not carrying around EpiPen or the nasal sprays or the that's not fun. That affects your quality of life. That affects your sleep. We know that you need and deserve more than that. So let me get out of here. So as we're wrapping up there, that's my encouragement to you guys there. 1, thank you for joining in. 2, don't just turn off your computer or your phone now and say, oh, good to know, helpful. There's an answer, there's a reason I'm dealing with this. Take action on it, right? We want, the whole reason we exist is to empower families to thrive, to connect with them and to allow them to make those choices, make those changes so that they're not dealing with the same challenges they always have. Because we know you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? So let us know if we can help. Let us know how we can help be a part of figuring those challenges out. A lot of you, I'm sure, are wondering, like, hey, is that what's going on with me? Have I done all these things right, but I'm still dealing with that underlying gas pedal, fight or flight stress in my nervous system? Honestly, I don't know. I can't answer that for you, but I'd encourage you to find out, right? Once you know, you can decide what you want, but at least you'll know, you'll have an answer, you'll have a reason. So thanks again. Looking forward to following up with everyone. And hopefully, once the weather turns and we got some sunshine, some warm weather, we can help people not be dealing with a bunch of allergies this year. So let us know if we have any questions and look forward to seeing you guys there.